Good morning and happy Saturday. So I thought we'd finish up talking about anchoring and our strategies and our recipes by talking about attraction strategies. Because this is kind of fun. This is a fun Saturday thing to do. So we all have an attraction strategy. We all have a recipe for feeling attracted to somebody. And it's not the only way that we feel attracted. It probably was one of the first ways or one of the most powerful ways. And it just, a series of things hit us in a certain way at a certain time, and it became our attraction strategy. And like I said, you can add on to these. You can have many different attraction strategies. You can have dozens. But if you ask somebody about one, they'll go to one that is their kind of baseline one that'll work every time. The cat is saying good morning to me. You're not supposed to be on the counters. So here's how you elicit it. So you ask your partner, significant other, person you're interested in, whatever. And by the way, if you're just listening to somebody talk, you can get strategies like this from them without them even knowing it or even knowing that that's what you're doing. So if you are at your office and somebody starts talking about, they were out this weekend and they went on a date or they saw somebody, listen to what they say and listen to the order and sequence and the modalities. And if you just ask a couple of questions, you can find this out. So I had somebody who worked for me who we played around with this once. And so here's how you have to do this. When you get anybody's strategy, first of all, they've got to be in the moment for that. So you got to ask them, can you remember a time when you felt really attracted to somebody? Like really attracted to somebody? And they'll go, sure. And they'll do it intellectually. And then you got to say, okay, can you remember a specific time when you felt really attracted to somebody? And you need them to go back to that moment. So if they go back to the moment right then, great. If not, ask them, go back to that moment and really remember what that was like. And you'll be able to tell by whether or not the eyes are focused. If their eyes are focused on you, then they're not in that moment. When the eyes glaze over, now they're back in that moment. And then you ask them, what was the first thing that you saw or heard or felt when you were in that moment? And then they'll answer that. And then ask them, and what about that made you attracted? Or what did you feel next? Or what happened next? So you do the first thing, and then what happened next? What about this? And if they pop out, if all of a sudden their eyes focus on you, then you need to say, go back to that time. Here was the first thing that you told me. And then say, okay, then what happened? And what was the next thing that happened? What did you see or feel or hear? Because you need to know the mode and then you need to know the recipe. And when they get back into that moment, they should pretty much just tell you when they understand what you're looking for. You shouldn't have to ask more than 2 or 3 times. What happened next? What did you see and feel or hear? What was the next thing that you saw or felt or heard? And then if they don't give you the qualities for that recipe, then you got to elicit those qualities. But let me give you examples of both things that I was just talking about. Somebody comes in the office on Monday morning. Oh my God, I was out Friday night. We did this, we did that, blah, 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 blah. I saw this guy that I was totally attracted to. Okay, tell me about it. While I was sitting there, and he came walking in, and he was tall, and he had dark hair, and he was really slender, and he walked in really confident, and then he turned and he looked at me, and he said hi in this really deep voice. Okay, so what's this person's attraction strategy? Now again, that doesn't mean that this is the only one. She could marry somebody that's not tall and doesn't have dark hair and be ridiculously attracted to the person. This is just one of them. This is just a baseline that they have. When you find this ingrained one, it came from somewhere, just like the chocolate chip cookies when we were a kid. It came from somewhere like that, and it'll always work. All right, so what's her attraction strategy? Number one is external visual. He was tall, and he had dark hair, and he was slender, right? So external visual, tall, dark hair, slender. Number two, he walked like he was really confident. Then, so that's also external, and that's also visual. Number three, then he stared right at me. External visual. So this person is all three external visual. So somebody that used to work for me, we played around with this once, and I elicited her attraction strategy. And I said, remember a time when you felt really attracted? Remember a specific time. What was the first thing? And it was similar to one I just told you. The person came walking in, and they immediately stared right at her, walked towards her without breaking eye contact, and then said hi, and then she felt like she melted inside. That was her attraction strategy. So, what was her attraction strategy? External visual, they came walking in, external visual and kinesthetics, in a way, stared right at her. And that was really the most crucial thing for her, was the person stared right at her, walked right up to her directly. You're going to find that confidence is a big one for most people with feminine energy. And to be attracted, they're attracted to somebody who's confident. So they walked right up to her, and then said hi without ever breaking eye contact. That was the big thing for her, for the attraction strategy. So once I elicited that, if she was ever having a bad day, I would walk into her office. When I walked in, I would stare right at her. I would take a couple of steps, and I would say hi. And I mean, you could see the blood rush to her face every time. And will this work every time? Yeah, it will absolutely work every time. I mean, if the chocolate chip cookie thing works for you, every time you smell chocolate chip cookies, do you go back to a time as a kid when your mom used to make chocolate chip cookies? Or whatever that food might be? Absolutely. I mean, every time you hear does the Rocky song wear out? No. Every time you hear it, you get more and more and more. It works even better. So these types of strategies, these ingrained recipes that we have, they don't stop working. If you use them, they actually work better and better and better. One thing that'll happen with people is they'll think that an anchor wears out. In fact, an anchor only goes away if you don't ever use it. And these ingrained ones, these ones that are in the reptilian part of the brain, they don't ever go away. They're there forever. That's an imprint that is there forever. That's like the imprint of a mother with a child. I mean, like the mother hen or any animal, anything. Those imprints never ever go away. That never changes. So today, with your significant other, and you can do this without them knowing, if you just ask them, hey, remember when we first met, remember a specific time when you felt really attracted to me? And make them go back to that moment. Remember, the eyes got to glaze over. Remember a specific time, and they'll look up typically. We look up when Marley is upset because the cat was on the counter. See? Yeah, you're telling on the cat. So you got to have them remember a specific time when they went back and they felt really attracted. It can't just be a little bit. It's got to be they're in that moment. And then what was the first thing that you remember? What was the first thing that you saw or that you heard or that you felt? And guys will tend to be very visual. Girls will be masculine energy will tend to be very visual. Feminine energy will be visual that works its way into kinesthetic. And you're going to find with feminine energy, a lot of times it involves somebody being very confident. So play around with these and then elicit their attraction strategy. And now, once you know that attraction strategy, you can run that at any time. And every time you do it, you're going to get this initial response. Now, it's a knee-jerk response, okay? It doesn't mean that they're going to feel that way for 4 hours, but it's a pattern interrupt, and it can turn the pattern into something a lot more fun than, like, you know, if you're having a fight or if you're disagreeing about something or somebody's just having a bad day. You know, and remember also that when we first get together in a relationship, we do everything. We do visual things. We do kinesthetic things. We do auditory things. We send flowers. We get cards. You know, kinesthetic, we say nice things. I love you. You're amazing. You look great. And auditory, we do music. We speak. All of those. We do every strategy when we're dating. When we're courting somebody, we do all the stuff. And so we're bound to hit their attraction strategy. We kind of do this without knowing it. But as things settle, then a lot of times we end up falling into a pattern where we do our own attraction strategy and we don't necessarily do their attraction strategy. And you got to be careful of that because your attraction strategy might not work for them. You know, some people, the attraction strategy is very visual. They want to see the other person do things for them or say things in a certain way. Some people's attraction strategy is very kinesthetic, and a lot of times it doesn't match up with the person the way that you would think. So, like, I'm a very visual, auditory person. I'm a visual learner, incredibly visual learner, visual, auditory in terms of where I live. But all of my attraction strategies are kinesthetic. Visual and auditory is almost irrelevant, visual in particular. Kinesthetic is my attraction strategies. So you just got to figure out where is it that they live and then utilize that so that you can communicate in the way that you really want to communicate to them. If you're visual and they're kinesthetic, and so you fall into a pattern of where you look at them and tell them how you feel, but they're kinesthetic, they want to be touched in order to feel attracted. They want you to hold their hand. They want you to put your arm around them. They want you to hold them when you go to bed. Well, then you're not doing it in a way that's going to make them feel like you really are attracted to them or feel like you really love them. You've got to talk in their language. So spend some time today with your significant other, elicit their attraction strategy, and figure out what modality they live in. Figure out what they need. Sometimes people feminine energy might meet somebody in the military and they see them in their uniform. And that one like always works. So they see them in their uniform and they feel, wow. And then a couple of years pass and they're no longer in the military and they never see him in a uniform ever again. Well, now they've lost that initial attraction that they had because that uniform isn't ever on. But you can change that. You can wear a different uniform or you can wear the uniform just once in a while. I mean, play around with this stuff. Why not? If it works, go ahead and use it. And it's good. This is a good thing. If you're finding somebody's attraction strategy and you're utilizing that, you're honoring them because you're communicating in a way that makes sense to them. You're using language that they can understand and works for them. It's not being manipulative. It's really caring and being courteous because you want to communicate with a person in a way that works for them. I had a relationship where the person was clearly a visual, kinesthetic person in terms of attraction strategy, and I'm kinesthetic. But right away, I could tell that her method of showing love and affection for people was to give them gifts. I mean, it was blatantly obvious because that's what she did. Gift after gift for everybody. Her kids, or that's how she showed her feelings. And so right away I learned, I said, look, that's great. And so I know how to show my feelings for you is to buy you gifts because that's what works for you. But you need to understand that doesn't work for me. Buying me a gift means nothing to me. I mean, it doesn't mean nothing. I mean, it's a nice gesture, but that's not how you show attraction to me. So you have to do it in a way that communicates to them how you really feel. Otherwise, you're not getting it across. If you're not talking their language, then you're not getting it across. So I've gone on long enough. Have a great Saturday, everybody. Have some fun playing around with people's attraction strategies. Have a ball. Good morning to everybody who's watching. Chrissy, Gavin, good to see you. Tammy, good to see you. Kevin is on this also. Wow, you guys are all up early in the morning and saying hi. It's great to have you watching. We're all in this together, everybody. Let's take care of each other. Have a great Saturday.